Greetings everyone, it is T2 with a review of Malice by John Gwynn, book 1 of The Faithful and the Fallen. 7-book series that I'm trying to find a good stopping point because I want to read the next book, I think, next, because it's pretty good. I would give it like a 4.7 out of 5, rounded up to 5 stars. Not as good as something like Lies of Locke Lamora, but it is a little bit more interesting with the mysterious parts of it. But it's kind of what I was hoping Dragonbone Chair would be, which this was pretty disappointing because the main protagonist was bad. The main protagonist in this is very good, very similar to Jon Snow from Game of Thrones. He's got like a pet wolf, Wolven, it's kind of like a wolf. Also, kind of what I was hoping Blade itself would have been like, but the Last Argument of Kings, I'd say, was a little bit better than this, but the first law in its entirety is not as good as this, I don't think. But Last Argument of Kings kind of saved it. He also kind of reminds me of what I imagine Bernard Cornwell will be, right? He writes the, what do you call it? The Saxon Tales. About the, what's the TV show on Netflix with the guy? It's like the Viking show, but it's different. So if you look at the cover here, you've got this wolf, right, on his pommel of his sword. He's got these really long teeth that come down, which seems very like brittle, like they would break off easy. So he has like this pet wolven. It's supposed to be like the giants. The giants are like the bad guys in this, I think. I mean, it's kind of hard to tell who the bad guys and the good guys are, because you get like, there's a lot of POV changes, which is kind of annoying because it's hard to keep track of everybody. And another thing I would say is that there's a lot of similar names. Like there's this guy Camlin, and there's this place called Cameron, and the main character's name is Corban, and there's also his sister Corwin. I don't know. There's a lot of C words. There's 2 or 3 guys that have like the letter M as the starting of their name. They sound really similar, and like one of them will die, and then you get confused. Like he'll be back in the next scene. Like, well, I thought that guy died. No, it was the other guy, like the similar sounding name guy. So it's kind of hard to keep track. And I did fall asleep many times reading it, which is not the book's fault. It's just that I'm on this new third shift schedule, and there's a lot of battle scenes that I say he's above average on battle writing, like making it seem like you're watching a movie when there's a battle taking place. But there was a lot of battle scenes, and I don't really find that stuff as interesting, so I was kind of nodding off. Plus, I was just tired because I've been working a lot. But I was really into it, though. I really wanted to keep reading it, which is good. Now, the main people in this story, a lot of people say they're like Vikings, but they're not quite like Vikings. The only similarity is that they have round shields, and one of them invents the shield wall thing that the Vikings use. They use spears mostly and swords. There's one guy who has like this axe, but they don't really use axes a lot. They use bows. And there's all these different factions of humans. The coolest part about this is there is a prophecy of that this god war that's supposed to be coming down. There's these 2 gods, Elion, and one starts with an A, something like that. They're like the good one and the bad one. It really reminds me of Stephen King's The Stand, how that was like good versus evil and this big war between gods, sort of. And there's like these 7 legendary items that were crafted out of this fallen star metal that came down by the giants crafted. There's a cup and a necklace and a spear and an axe. There wasn't a sword. What was the other thing? There's 7 things. I don't know. Really, the chalice, that was one. Did I say that? There's a cup, right? And then there's like a cauldron. And another kind of weapon. What was the other weapon? Oh, the dagger. I think there was a dagger. So, the sword and the hammer, I don't think those were like those star metal weapons. This is the sword the main character uses, and the hammer is like his dad's hammer. He gives to his friend at the end. And by the end of the book, there was like hardly anybody left. Like almost everybody died. there's a whole deal with like this guy who's like a bully, and like the coming of age kind of thing with like you got to take your warrior test, like prove that you're a warrior, and you got to spend a night out in the woods by yourself. And then there's one guy that's bullying him. He's like, he's becoming a warrior like a little bit earlier than this guy. And he's like, once we both become warriors, I'm going to challenge you to a duel and I'm going to kill you. And he's like always picking on him and stuff. Plus, when he adopts this wolf, the wolf like attacks that guy and fucks him up. And he's just like, is the wolf going to be killed or is he going to like be able to keep it? There's all these different kings with a high king on top of them. And a lot of like interesting stuff like that happens. A lot of people say this is like the worst book of the series, but I thought they said there's like nothing happening. Like there's all kinds of shit happening. There's constantly interesting stuff happening. And the main thing with the prophecy and the God War and shit is that there's supposed to be like a good guy and a bad guy of the humans that are supposed to be against each other, and one is called the Dark Sun, yeah, and then the Bright Star. So this one guy, he thinks he's the Bright Star. His dad has been looking for the Bright Star his whole life, and he's trying to tell his dad, no, look, right here, I'm the Bright Star. Because there's this prophecy he's going to be like a kinslayer or a kingslayer, and he'd be riding on a drake, which is like a little dragon, and be a giant friend. So he has this giant guy, and another dude show up with him, and they like take him on this journey to like... He's allying with people that his dad doesn't like. People that are in like boats and across the sea. And then he goes and recruits these other people that are kind of like, nobody really knows who they are. They're kind of like this mysterious, like Eastern kind of really good fighters and stuff. And the one guy reveals himself as like an angel, and he gets all those guys on their side. They call them like the Ben Elim, and the bad god has like this other kind of thing that's like demons or something, right? So it's like not really Viking gods either. The gods are like Christianity based almost, like they have angels and demons. And the ships also are not Viking ships because they don't sit down in them, because they're talking about he's walking and he has to like get his sea legs, so it's like a regular ship. So there's really nothing about them that are Vikings except for their names kind of sound like Vikings, and they have round shields and they kind of live like Vikings, I guess you would say. There's a woman that's a witch that has a crow in a hut, which is kind of like you would see something like that on Vikings. But yeah, this is a whole different world. What else was I going to say? Yeah, like a lot of the main characters, you like them, and then they'll end up getting killed. Yeah, but the main character is actually good. He's like a good sword fighter, and he's got this teacher. The stable master teaches him like the Eastern way of fighting, sword dancing and stuff, as well as the regular way. So he's like really good with sword. But he sucks with a bow, and he's okay with a spear. And there's all this stuff about like his mom and the stable master know there's some secret about him that they're trying to. Maybe he was adopted. Maybe he's like the chosen one. I think the deal is he's actually the Bright Star, and the guy that thinks he's the Bright Star is going to turn out to be the Dark Sun because he's actually evil, because he does all this evil shit at the end. I think it's where they're going. I thought it was going to be this Elvin, or what's his name? Evnis? Because he was like betraying the king right out of the start, and he's like doing all this shady shit and learning this like earth magic kind of thing they got going on, and like changing his appearance and like doing like glamoring shit to make people think it's somebody else doing stuff. Real super shady guy. You think he's going to be the bad guy, but I think it's actually going to be the High King, the new High King after his dad died, because he thinks he's the Bright Star, but he's not. But you would think it would be one of the giants, right? Because like, there's so many people, the humans or whatever. I kept thinking of them as dwarves too, because there's some stuff that kind of reminded me of World of Warcraft. I just started thinking of them as dwarves for some reason. But I guess they're all humans, and there's so many of them get killed in these little inter-clan battles and wars. They're like deciding who's going to be on the good side, who's going to be on the bad side, or you don't really know which side's good or bad yet. It's just like different clans fighting each other, and you get both points of view. So it's kind of like, who am I rooting for here? And there's so many of them dying. It's like, is there going to be anybody left to fight these giants? Because it seems like all the humans are just killing each other off. So really interested to see where it goes. So I don't even know like how the next book is gonna like. They're all on a boat like trying to get away from this chaos. I guess they're gonna go to some other land. Him and his mom and a handful of other people that survived. That's about it. So spoiler alert. By the way, if you see like there's a lot of books missing on my shelves, I took this old bookshelf that was in my bedroom that had some of my brother's books on it, and I took all those off and put it in my book nook, and I got like my TBR books are on there, the books I plan to read this year. My brother was into some weird books, like a lot of politics. Look at this little quick book haul here. My Life in Hard Times. This guy is Gore Vidal's Lincoln. That might be a good biography. Do Dead People Watch You Shower? Okay. The Great Unraveling by Paul Krugman. It's like a book on economics. My brother sold like not Amway. What's the insurance with the duck? Aflac. He sold Aflac for a while. Along Came a Spider by James Patterson. Yeah, it's actually a good book. I think. Keep that one. Steve Martini. He's got like all these like mafia books. What are they like? The Godfather books. Little Red Book of Selling. Sales techniques. Oh, cool. We got here a book about the Bush family, American Dynasty, Jim Cramer's Real Money. Yeah, all these Mario Puzo. Oh, this is actually the Mario Puzo universe written by somebody else. The Godfather Returns. Mark Weingartner. Reza Aslan, Zealot. Hey, I remember that guy. He's been on like the Daily Show before. Jesus of Nazareth, it's about. Another James, Steve Martini. And we got Atheist in a Foxhole. Joe Muto. That's probably some garbage. Anyway, yeah, most of these books that I plan on reading this year, I took off the shelf. I'll put them in the living room. Got this sweet saucer chair in there now. And I got my wax, my scented wax. It's nice. I need an ottoman or something to put my feet up on. I'm going to use my dog cage. But anyway, yeah, I think I might go right into Valor next and just read the next book in the series. But I want to get into the Jade War, Jade Legacy, Jade Dynasty, whatever it's called, pretty soon. But I don't want to get all the characters confused. That's the thing. I'm trying to find a stopping point in Faithful in the Fallen where I can switch over to that. Anyway, see you guys later.